Get ready for the total eclipse of the heart as we get the biggest astrological event in March, the lunar eclipse in Libra. Libra is the sign of balance, partnerships, and diplomacy, and with the eclipse in this sign, you can expect major changes to your romantic and other relationships, with some karmic connections entering your life and other outdated connections leaving it forever. Let's take a closer look at March and talk about love for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my content and you like my work, please take a second to support me by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. All of this encourages YouTube algorithm to push my content to more people, helps me grow. You also have the option of saying thank you by buying me a coffee or a chicken soup because I have caught a cold. You may hear some congestion, some nasal sound in my voice. So everyone who does that says thank you. I'm really thankful for you guys. And even if you don't have an option to send me a tip or anything like that, just by sending good thoughts and supporting my work, this is amazing too. Before we dive in, if you'd like to know what the eclipse season has in store for you, you always have the option to book a reading with me to talk face to face. I have shorter 30-minute readings. I have 1-hour readings. We can discuss the upcoming lunar eclipse in Libra, the solar eclipse in Aries that will coincide with Mercury retrograde. The next few months, to be honest with you, are packed with astrology, starting with March, going into April, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction once in 13 years. And then in May, we have Jupiter shifting signs, Venus conjoining Jupiter, a lot of juicy goodness. And if you'd like to support yourself through the more turbulent, potentially, times of the eclipse season, I highly recommend checking out my candle shop. I have recently created Moon in Cancer 2 candles. They have the same moonflower nectar scent. They are decorated with silver foil, the metal of the moon. They were created to highlight the powerful moon in Cancer with the day of the moon, the hour of the moon. It was nighttime, which the moon really loves. The moon was placed prominently at the top of the chart. And this is helpful for finding calm and peace and ease in the stressful life, connecting yourself with women in your life, grounding yourself. It can help improve your sleep and fertility, and just overall help guide you and help sort of soothe you. I have used this candle, the first one, so much. I've gone through like at least 2 or 3, I think, myself, because it just has it's a very relaxing candle. And it's perfect for remediating people born with their moon in Scorpio or Capricorn. When you're born with a moon in Scorpio, you tend to kind of hold on to darker feelings and feel things really deeply. So moon in Cancer can help relax you a little bit. And if you're born with moon in Capricorn, you just take on a lot and always need to be productive and successful. And so similarly, moon in Cancer can help encourage you to take a break. And additionally, this is perfect for anyone born with their moon in the dark house, like 6th, 8th, or 12th. If your moon is making any aspect to Mars, Saturn, Uranus, or Chiron, I would highly recommend that. I'm born with moon conjunct Chiron, so that's probably why I like sort of free-flowing moon in Cancer energy. You can also check out the other candles I have on my website. For example, Venus in Libra, 1 or 2 could be great during the eclipse season as well, because South Node is currently in Libra and it's a little bit harder to find peace and balance. So definitely check these out and pick up some for yourself, especially if you're born with Venus in Aries, Scorpio, or Virgo, which are the signs where Venus struggles a little bit. Okay, so February brought us Venus and Mars conjunction, very passionate, very romantic. You may have felt more sparks, deeper connection. If you have, please let me know in the comments below. In March, Venus and Mars begin in Aquarius. Venus stays in Aquarius until March 11th. Mars stays in Aquarius until March 22nd. Venus and Mars in Aquarius is a little bit detached, right? It's very intellectual, so we may be going for people who are scientific, futuristic, people who can stimulate our minds. We may enjoy talking about lovemaking more than making love sometimes. We may go after people who are sort of unique, quirky, different. And then after March 11th until April 5th, Venus will enter Pisces and Mars will follow suit from March 22nd until April 30th. So Venus and Mars in Pisces is a very different vibe, right? Venus in Pisces is the ultimate romantic. It craves soulful spiritual connection. It's in love with love, including heartbreak and separation. I feel like I have a friend with Venus in Pisces, and she said she enjoys all aspects of love, even when it's the sadder part. So you become more forgiving, you become more interested in soulful connection, you become more kind of generous and giving with your partner, and your partner does the same for you. Very ethereal, very soulful, very sort of, like I said, giving, compassionate, understanding. Venus, on the negative, there could be poor boundaries, so you gotta be careful and make sure that you're not sort of taking in all the stray dogs and all the stray exes, right? Do not do that. Stay mindful. Another big shift happens on March 9th when Mercury enters Aries. Mercury will stay in Aries for 2 months because it's going retrograde between April 1st and April 25th. So Mercury retrograding in Aries could suggest that you are needing to examine how you communicate. You're needing to examine where you're being honest versus where you're being dishonest with yourself or with other people. There may be a need for some kind of blunt, direct communication coming up. And of course, the biggest event of the month is March 25th, and that is the lunar eclipse in Libra, which brings completion of a romantic chapter started in October 2023 when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. It is a south node eclipse. South node eclipses always have the energy of cleansing, release, letting go. And here we are very much examining the shallow side of Libra, the shadow side of Libra, all of the negative sort of people pleasing, not, like maybe loving drama, but not being honest tendencies, the tendency to like avoid making decisions in order not to upset anyone. So all of this kind of stuff will be important. Some other important dates to watch out for that can be relationship oriented are March 3rd and March 9th. On the 3rd, we have Venus squaring Uranus. On the 9th, we have Mars squaring Uranus in Aquarius. Venus and Mars in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. So this can bring disruptions, shakeups, a need for independence, a need for innovation in your relationships, either coming from you or from your partner. If it's coming from your partner, you may feel like it's coming out of left field and it's sudden and you don't quite understand what caused it. But a lot of times the suggestion here is that you have manifested it somehow. Perhaps you have felt restless and that inspired your partner to act because they have been picking up on the vibes you've been putting out. So Venus and Mars both squaring Uranus suggest that there are opportunities to evolve in relationships. There are opportunities to innovate relationships. But of course, if the connection is weak and it needs to be released, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We talked about Mercury entering Aries on the 9th, Venus entering Pisces on the 11th. On the 21st of March, Venus conjoins Saturn. This is interesting. I quite like Venus-Saturn conjunction. In the moment, it can bring melancholy, can make you feel rather serious and somber and isolated, even lonely. But I think Venus and Saturn invites you to ask deep questions. It invites you to say no to some things, right? Like if you are feeling lonely because your partner is being distant, maybe there is an invitation to examine how are you entertaining yourself? What are you doing to not feel lonely? What are your pursuits? What are your interests? And perhaps look into finding more pleasurable activities. Similarly, there could be the time when you are feeling serious, but because you're committing to someone or something, could be great for having serious conversations, making agreements, negotiating, coming together with other people, and being realistic about your creative projects and your relationships. And I actually quite like a couple more dates, March 24th and March 28th. So right in between there on the 25th, we have an eclipse, which of course is potentially dramatic, right? This eclipse, on the positive note, on the 25th of March, the eclipse is ruled by Venus in Pisces. So the fact that the ruler is an exalted Venus and she's strong and compassionate and all forgiving could suggest that whatever outdated things you're examining in your relationships, you are at least feeling compassionate towards yourself and other people. So that could be quite supportive. We also have on the 24th of March, Venus sextiling Jupiter, and this brings compliments, optimism, good luck, advancement of any of your projects that involve education, travel, writing, publishing, law, networking, business. And the 28th, Venus sextiles Uranus, which is suggestive of like a more harmonious update in your relationship, a more exciting change, fresh energy, burst of enthusiasm, spring-like excitement. So let's take a look at the 12 signs and talk about romantic energies that are ahead for you. And before we do that, if you'd like to know what's coming up for you specifically, you can book a reading with me on my website, anastasiaastrology.com. You also have the option to become a subscriber to receive monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. This can help guide you and make better decisions. If you are an Aries rising, you are Mars. As an Aries rising ruled by Mars, your partner is Venus. In February, you just had Mars and Venus come together in your 11th house of community, friendships, networks. So there could have been either a birthing of a new romantic connection, maybe a change of status in your relationship, moving a relationship further. There could have been a common goal that you have united under with your partner, or a chance to turn a friendship into a relationship, a friend becoming a lover, a friend becoming a business partner. So some kind of agreement, connection, new beginning. Venus also is a planet in charge of your finances, and Mars is in charge of your partner's finances. So I wonder if there were some kind of like financial merging or just like a sense of solidifying, like I said, a relationship. At the start of the month until March 11th, Venus is in Aquarius, your 11th house. So this focus on going out with friends, connecting with friends, dating friends, exploring goals that put you together with other people, goals that benefit the collective, is still present at this time. Around March 3rd, Venus in your 11th house will square Uranus in the second house. And remembering that Venus rules the house of your partnership, right? Like Venus in the 11th squaring Uranus in the second can suggest that your partner might be having some kind of difficulty or some kind of challenge that involves financial matters. Maybe there is some kind of breakdown or breakthrough. There could also be a challenge in terms of your dreams together with your partner and the resources you have available. So try to be patient, mindful, and flexible at this time so you don't kind of make poor financial choices and make poor financial decisions. Until March 22nd, Mars, your ruler, is also in the 11th house. So especially between the 1st and the 11th, both Mars and Venus are in your 11th house, and you and your partner are very much on the same page in terms of going out, connecting with other people, working on group projects, and exploring dreams together. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus enters Pisces. And that is suggestive that, it could be a few things. It could be a sign that your partner is retreating between March 11th and April 5th. They may take a step back to handle some kind of personal matters, and perhaps you're seeing them less. They may be traveling. On March 22nd, your planet is also coming into the 12th house. And then until between March 22nd, April 5th, you and your partner will be both in the 12th house. So there's a chance of, if they are traveling first, maybe you're going to join them. Or if they have been introspective, you sort of connect with them and help them maybe solve some of their problems. Venus in the 12th house could be a warning for you to not go after people that aren't good for you, to be kind of aware of your self-defeating tendencies, to examine your true desires in relationships. Venus in the 12th house tends to be very eye-opening. It could very much suggest that you are being more honest with yourself and with other people. Venus also conjoins Saturn on March 21st, which could be the time of like introspection. And once again, this could be you doing this kind of self-analysis and growth, or it could also be your partner, because Venus rules your house of relationships. So Venus is your partner. So when she conjoins Saturn, there is important kind of transformation in the life of your partner. They may be kicking bad habits. They may be releasing something, committing to a relationship is likely. And then March 25th is really huge because there is a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Libra, especially important if your ascendant is between 2 and 8 degrees Aries, because that would mean your descendant is between 2 and 8 degrees Libra. So here we have a lunar eclipse in Libra in your 7th house of relationships. This is huge. This is a culmination of a big relationship chapter that started in October. If you are single and still definitely single or in a relationship, take a look back at early October. What was happening in your relationships? What was happening in your business partnerships? What was happening in terms of your desires romantically, right? So if you're single, and if you were single in October, you're still single, this could be some kind of important realization about your choices romantically, right? Ultimately, South Node in the 7th house is inviting you to take a close look at who and what you are attracting in your life, and perhaps release something or someone, right? Like release your search for beauty, release your search for a partner who ticks out all the boxes. Be more open-minded. I know an Aries rising who just got engaged, and around the time of October, when we get a lunar eclipse in Libra, she'll be getting married. So for some people, this could definitely suggest really big relationship developments. I can see some of you meeting karmic connections. I can see some of you separating from outdated relationships. The ruler is Venus in the 12th house. So very, like, you know, there's like potent developments. I could also see some of you dating foreign people, healing of self, healing of relationship, forgiveness, cleansing, clarity is very likely. And I'd like to note March 24th and March 28th, when Venus in your 12th house sextiles Jupiter and Uranus in the 2nd house. So any kind of financial struggles or problems that you or your partner faced on March 3rd or March 9th, when Venus and Mars squared Uranus, may get resolved around this time, and there is kind of like better agreement, alignment between you and your partner, as well as between you and your money. And if you'd like to know more about what's ahead, book a reading with me at anastasia.astrology.com. You also have the option of picking up a monthly subscription to get personalized horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. They can help guide you, help you avoid making difficult decisions, and maximize the positive opportunities that are coming up at you, coming towards you every month. I'm gonna take a sip. Next, we have the lovely Taurus rising. So if you are a Taurus rising, you are Venus ruled. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and your partner is Mars ruled. So in March, we're coming straight from February Venus and Mars conjunction in your 10th house, which could have suggested dating a boss, could have suggested some kind of development of, romantic conception in your house of career. It could have suggested birthing of something. I think conception in general, like 10th house represents career, but it's looking right at your 4th house. And so change of status is possible here, changing from single to engaged, from childless to with a child is possible. Venus and Mars coming together in the 10th house could also have suggested some kind of joining forces with your partner, starting a business together, figuring out some kind of, purpose, mission, calling that you have united under. Early in the month, between March 1st and 11th, Venus and Mars are still in your 10th house. So both you and your partner can be very professionally oriented. You may be asking deep questions. You're thinking about the future. You're taking action. You're looking for projects that set you apart. They can, they sort of help you express your individuality, your entrepreneurial spirit, and also your creativity. And you are on the same page. After March 11th, Venus goes into Pisces, your 11th house. And since you are Venus, you may start going out more. And for a little bit between like March 11th and 22nd, it may be more about you. But then on the 22nd of March and until April 5th, Mars will join Venus and you will be socializing together. But I think like early on between 11th and 22nd, you are kind of feeling more social. If you're single, this is great opportunity to date a friend, to ask your friends to set you up, to go to a networking event, to go to like a speed dating event and meet some people. If you are in a relationship, you and your partner can enjoy double dating, can enjoy connecting with friends a lot more. March 3rd and March 9th brings a little bit of like tension between your goals professionally or even your goals in a relationship and your personal independence. So be mindful of getting in fights and try to figure out ways to be in a relationship and be fair and be just, but not sacrifice your independence, right? Like do not sacrifice your personal goals for the need of the relationship. So I really like Venus being in Pisces between March 11th and April 5th. Like I said, great time for dating friends, connecting with friends, exploring interests, socializing. Even if you're not dating a friend, you can still benefit a lot through like going out with friends at this time and going to networking events, speaking. You never know, you might meet someone and then later you'll meet their friend of a friend of a friend. On March 21st, we have Venus and Saturn conjunction in your 11th house. This could suggest some kind of commitment, a need to say no to some things for you specifically. Saturn rules your house of career and it rules your house of travel, education, writing, publishing, legal matters. So any of those decisions can be important right now. And then the biggest event of the month is the lunar eclipse in Libra, your 6th house, on March 25th. This is completion of a chapter that started with a solar eclipse in Libra on October 14th. And Libra is always about relationships. It's about any relationships, right? 6th house for you specifically is the place of work, health, service, sacrificing, committing to a cause, working on something. So you may be examining releasing outdated self-defeating tendencies in that regard. But since this is a love video, right, I could also see this as, where are you giving up too much? Where are you giving too much of yourself? Where are you avoiding conflict and not speaking up? What kind of like outdated self-sacrificial tendencies do you have that need to be released? And how can you take better care of yourself so that you can benefit your relationship and so that you can benefit your mental health? The ruler is Venus in the 11th. So I think with Venus being in the 11th and you exploring new passions, new interests, new hobbies, there is very much an invitation there to communicate honestly, to be direct about what you want and to, sort of express yourself in a more direct way and maybe figure out what do you need to set down and where do you need to ask for help, romantically, professionally, whatever it might be, in order to have a better balance in your life. Libra is all about balance. March 24th, March 28th are pretty nice. I can't say nice. Are pretty nice. Venus in your 11th house will sextile Jupiter in your first and Uranus in your first. So here you are getting the support of friends, getting the support of your connections, getting the support from social media, and kind of feeling more supported, understood, connected, empowered, and more aligned with your path. And if you'd like to know more about the eclipse season or anything else, do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also pick up a horoscope subscription so that you get written down personalized horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. These are unique to you and help you maximize the month to come. Next, we have the beautiful Gemini rising. If you are a Gemini rising, you are Mercury and your partner is Jupiter, because your 7th house would be Sagittarius. It's ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is still in Taurus, in your 12th house. It's funny, I think the previous video I did, previous love horoscope I did, someone commented saying that they are in a long distance relationship, because the ruler of your house of relationships being in the 12th house suggests that the partner is potentially somewhere far right now. So for those single, do not get discouraged. Them being far right now doesn't mean they're going to be far forever. Really soon, May 25th, Jupiter goes into your 1st house, comes to you. So for my beautiful Gemini risings that are looking for a relationship, there is lots of things to be excited about. But if you are in a relationship and your partner being Jupiter in the 7th house, this is very much suggesting that right now there may be somehow occupied, right? They may be in a different country. They may be involved in some kind of project. They may be like writing a book and sort of putting their nose to the grindstone. Just basically like working, introverted, more spiritual. So they're focused on that. You are Mercury until March 9th. You are in the 10th house. So you are doing a lot of professional action. You're hustling. You are maybe learning new things for work, or doing more socializing, more networking for work. Between March 9th and May 15th, you will be more focused on your friendships, your networks, your social media presence. And this could be actually a great time to put yourself out there, start a blog, start a podcast, share your thoughts with other people. Beware that you may need to redo some of that, because Mercury goes retrograde between April 1st and April 25th. But I feel like, just like managing expectations, right? Because sometimes people like expect their love life to be sort of hopping every month. But like, this is potentially more of a month for you to follow your dreams, to work on your career, right? Like while your partner is doing their own thing. And then just be ready that come like May, June, July, etc., there's going to be a lot more romantic action in your life. Still, no reason not to enjoy it. And there is an eclipse coming up in your 5th house, so it's not all of March is quiet. But yeah, so beware, know that some of the action connected to social media, friendships, networks, hopes and dreams will need to be redone. In February, we also had Venus-Mars conjunction on February 22nd in your 9th house, which could have still sort of brought your attention to foreign connection, to long-distance romance, to a relationship with a teacher, mentor, classmate, anything like that, or it encouraged you to travel. This energy continues until March 22nd. So Venus is in your 9th house of education, travel until March 11th, and Mars is here until March 22nd. So you may be traveling, you may be meeting people overseas, you may be taking classes with your significant other, or even like if you're single, like learning more about love and dating and trying to understand yourself a little bit more. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus will be in Pisces, your 10th house, and all things aside, Venus traveling through houses also highlights potential places of love. So when Venus is in the 10th house, you're either in love with your work, right? And you are kind of figuring out projects that you want to be doing. Your professional connections may feel more exciting. Or you can be in love with someone you work with. So dating a boss, dating a mentor, a teacher is more likely here. On the 21st of March, Venus will conjoin Saturn in your 10th house. This could be a serious time for professional decisions, kind of big insights, big understandings. The decisions that are professional can also affect your family life because Venus and Saturn in Pisces are exactly opposite your 4th house in Virgo. So kind of big decisions about career that also spill into family and your place of living is likely. If we are talking about foreign romance, right, a partner who is maybe far away or like in a different place right now, perhaps the questions you're asking have to do with living with them and moving towards them. And then the biggest event of the month is the lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Libra in your 5th house, 5-5. This is a culmination of a romantic chapter in the life of your child, chapter around sex and pleasure that started in October 2023. October 14th, we had a solar eclipse in Libra. What was happening in your life? Were you realizing that something that you are working on is outdated? Were you realizing that a relationship strategy you have is not serving you? Libra is all about love. It's all about partnerships. 5th house is the place of romance. So with the lunar eclipse here and the energy of completion, culmination, you can be either committing to a relationship or you can be setting a connection free if you feel like they're not aligned with who you are or what you want. A Gemini rising client reconnected with an ex not too long ago, and so that was an important step in realizing that she no longer sees herself with that person. So there is a lot of cleansing in your 5th house of love, pleasure, romance, children. And South Node is here, right? And that is suggesting that you are revisiting what you find attractive. You are encouraged to release any sort of shallow desires, any lists and expectations and sort of like overly idealistic opinions about people and things, right? Like we talk about Virgo as a perfectionist, but Libra can probably, push Virgo off the pedestal and be even bigger perfectionist. So here the invitation is very much to examine what pleasure is, examine your relationship to love and sex and dating, and perhaps release some outdated beliefs and welcome in some new ones, right? The change of perspective, the fresh energy coming up with Aries season is required here. And if you'd like to know more, do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription, which includes monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month, or you can get a VIP subscription, which is a face-to-face 30-minute conversation. And I guide you through the month ahead, give you advice, help you maximize the positive transits, and warn you about the more challenging ones. Check out my website for that. Next, we have the beautiful, nurturing, and attentive Cancer rising. If you are a Cancer rising, you are the moon. Your partner is Saturn. Saturn, the ruler of your 7th house, as you may already know, is in your 9th house the entire year and all the way until February 2026. So where Saturn goes, your relationships go. So you may be focusing right now on, you actually may be focusing right now on education more than dating potentially. But if you are focusing on dating, your relationships, your partnerships, your attractions can be connected to the 9th house. So the place of education, the place of traveling, the place of high mind, philosophy, attraction to philosophers, attractions to different new philosophies, legal matters, dating lawyers and writers, because it's the house of publishing. So both, like I said, both like a lot of focus on those questions, as well as maybe relationship developments that include education, travel, writing, publishing. It could also be there's a suggestion there that your partner is also kind of preoccupied with some important questions or learning, or maybe they are in a different place right now from you. So in February, we had Venus-Mars conjunction in your 8th house, which could have suggested a need to revisit how you handle finances in your relationship, maybe some kind of new beginnings in terms of sharing, in terms of debts, in terms of even your partner's finances transforming, your partner getting some additional source of income. Early in March, Venus and Mars are still in your 8th house, and this could suggest that you're kind of right now either dealing with your financial matters, or your partner is being more generous, more supportive of you. They're sort of getting their finances improving, and in the process, you're benefiting through them. You are very much encouraged to have like a better flow financially, to maybe set some money aside, to pay off some debts. March 3rd and March 9th, we have Venus and Mars in your 8th house squaring Uranus in the 11th. So you may run into some kind of conflict surrounding your goals and the finances you have available, or your goals and what your partner sees your future being. And then on March 10th, we actually have a new moon in your 9th house, which is pretty close to Saturn. And then on the 21st of March, Venus will conjoin Saturn. So if Saturn rules your house of relationships and Venus comes together to conjoin Saturn, Venus rules your 4th house of home and family. She also rules your house of friendships. So I can also see this, I can see this as a romantic transit potentially, but it's like more so, I think, an inspirational transit. Venus being in Pisces between March 11th and April 5th is a great time to travel. It's a great time to befriend some of your classmates, date some of your classmates. So having a new moon here can suggest that there is like a inception of some kind of new relationship. And whether it is a relationship that is gonna transpire into love, marriage, etc., or it's a relationship that helps you get your dreams off the road, on the road, it's up to you. I think it can also be suggestive of you starting new projects that involve travel, that involve education, that involve writing, legal matters, or publishing. And like I said, March 11th until April 5th is beautiful for dating foreigners, for traveling and meeting someone while traveling, or traveling with your existing partner. It's beautiful for learning about sex, about tantra, and kind of, like connecting with other people. I can see this with the eclipse coming up on March 25th, and Venus being the ruler of the eclipse in the 9th house as like fated connections that come into your life and even encourage you to move, because the eclipse in Libra, your 4th house on March 25th, brings very much attention to your house of home, family, and living situation, and it brings a change there. So if you are traveling and you meet someone while traveling, there could be a possibility that you are moving to be with that person, right? But I think on another level, having the eclipse in Libra, take a look back at October 14th when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. The lunar eclipse on the 25th of March will bring completion, change, culmination. And here we're looking at release, we're looking at change in the sector of home, family, comfort, and security. And so somewhere in your life, you may feel resistance. You may feel sort of, like something from your past is getting kind of eclipsed out of your life. You are examining comfort, you're examining security, you're needing to step outside of your comfort zone in order to achieve something. And it may really feel uncomfortable. So sometimes you may need this other person, teacher, mentor, significant other to push you out. But other times there may be like sort of inner realizations that you need to move, that you need to set better boundaries in your relationships, that you need to kind of become more clear on what you want, have some serious conversations in the family, and that even like release some family karma and get more clear on what kind of outdated patterns are holding you back, what kind of family dynamics from your childhood are playing out in your relationship. So a lot of deep questions, a lot of important realizations are coming up for you with this eclipse. And definitely a possibility of like moving or leaving something behind. And if you'd like to know what the eclipse season means for you, what's ahead for you in the next few months, do not hesitate to book a reading with me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also pick up a horoscope subscription to get written down, personalized horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month, helping guide you, helping you avoid the downsides of the astrology and maximize the opportunities. Next, we have the bright Leo rising. If you are a Leo rising, you are ruled by the sun. Your partner is ruled by Saturn as an Aquarius descendant. So in March, until March 19th, the sun, you, is in Pisces, 8th house, and Saturn is also in Pisces, your 8th house. And they have just conjoined on February 28th. So February 28th could have been really important for you and your partner. It could have brought some kind of rebirth and change in your relationship, maybe new beginnings in terms of bringing your resources together. Maybe you're moving in together. Maybe you're starting a joint bank account. Maybe you're taking out a mortgage, some kind of important transition in terms of relating, in terms of connecting, in terms of sharing and trusting in your relationship. And I think the fact that the sun, as in you, is in the same, in the 8th house until March 19th is suggestive that you are very much on the same page. You are working together towards the common goal. And what is it? Let me know in the comments below. February was a big month for you romantically. Obviously Pluto has entered your 7th house in January, but in February we had Mercury conjoining Pluto on the 5th, 6th. We had Mars conjoining Pluto and Venus between 13th and 18th, 19th of the month. So there could have been a lot of deep conversations, a lot of realizations, a lot of changes to new beginnings with the new moon in Aquarius here on February 9th. Maybe you have seen your partner experience kind of more shadowy things, kind of, them experience a lot of healing realization, because Pluto being in your 7th house could be very much about your partner going through death and rebirth and kind of growing. February 22nd could have been great. Venus and Mars coming together in your 7th house, very passionate, very romantic. So in March, the focus on your 7th house continues for the first 3 weeks of the month. Venus is here on March 11th until March 11th, together with Mars. And this is, I think, a more agreeable time. You may be active with your partner, but you have this power to agree and compromise and come together. Venus leaves on March 11th, and then between the 11th and 22nd, only Mars is here. So I would warn you to be careful of unnecessary competition and fights in your relationship, because that becomes more likely when it's just Mars and you want a little bit of competition and strife. So instead, perhaps choose active pursuits that you can do with your partner instead of, going against them. March 3rd and March 9th, we have Venus and Mars in your 7th house squaring Uranus in your 10th house. And here you can experience some kind of relationship changes due to breakdowns or breakthroughs in your career status and reputation. So, something is changing in your professional life. You're choosing to move to a different location, and now you're dating in a brand new place. Or you're choosing to take a new position and it's sending you to another city, and you and your partner need to figure out what to do. Or you're making more money and you can now afford a bigger apartment together. Or you're quitting a job and now your partner tends to needs to step up and needs to take care of you. So kind of shakeups, relationship developments. Venus then goes into Pisces, your 8th house, between March 11th and April 5th, and conjoins Saturn here on March 21st. So still similar vibe of needing to get serious about your finances with your partner, about your agreements with your partner, about your values, whether you are on the same page, whether you see the future together. The 21st of March, 3 days before, 3 days after, could be very serious, could be the time of important conversations, maybe a need to sort of sacrifice some spendings you have or make an important investment into a mortgage, kind of serious kind of commitment is possible here. And the biggest event of the month is March 25th. We have a lunar eclipse in Libra, your third house, which is a completion of a cycle started in mid-October when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. So take a look back at what was happening in your life. It could involve your relationship with your siblings. It could involve your community and your schedule, but it could also be about communication in your romantic relationship, right? If you look back at October, you may realize perhaps there were some kind of cleansing, some kind of deep insights. I think third house, wherever Libra is in our chart, we tend to be really sort of fair and just and balanced and not confrontational and indirect, people pleasing. So the lunar eclipse here is very much encouraging you to examine how you communicate. It's ruled by Venus in the 8th house. So still, whatever these like new beginnings and finances and agreements and fairness and joint ventures you have with your partner, you need to be honest. You need to be clear. You need to be more assertive. You need to release maybe a tendency to say yes to everything your partner says, right? So very much an invitation to communicate more honestly, to I can also see this as like important business developments for some of you, because third house represents business and 8th house represents, loans and joint resources. So maybe it's also about business. It could be about siblings. But one thing is for sure, something in the way you communicate, something in the way you do your everyday life, and choose to kind of be not anger anyone. Something here is changing, and you're encouraged to be more direct, to be more kind of assertive. And if you'd like to know what the eclipse season has in store for you, you can book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also pick up a monthly horoscope subscription, which will include weekly updates as well as personalized horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month, helping guide you maximize opportunities and avoid the more challenging times of the month. If you are a Virgo rising, you are Mercury, your partner is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus until May 25th. This is your 9th house, which could suggest that your partnerships right now are tied to education, writing, travel, publishing, legal matters, which could suggest that you're exploring sort of business agreements and other agreements, but it can also suggest that maybe your partner is actively studying or traveling, or they are your classmate right now, or they are your teacher. So like partner is either involved and, preoccupied with those themes, or they are in those sectors of your chart. Like meeting someone while traveling is a possibility. Dating a teacher, dating a classmate, dating a mentor is a possibility. Since you are Mercury until between March 1st and March 9th, Mercury is in Pisces, your 7th house. So your mind is on your relationships, and you may be experiencing a faster turnaround. There might be more dates. There might be more interest in people who are very communicative. You might be attracting people who are very intellectual and very chatty right now, maybe youthful, maybe younger than you on some level. And then between March 9th and May 15th, Mercury, your chart ruler, will be in Aries, 8th house. And it will go retrograde in your 8th house between April 1st and April 25th, which is suggestive that you are examining agreements in your relationships. You may be literally sort of sitting down with your partner in the future, not quite yet, but literally sitting down and figuring out who makes how much, who spends what, how can you, put your finances together, start a savings account, get a mortgage, get a loan. There might be more conversations about what's fair, what's just in relationships, and a need to examine who carries how much weight, right? Let's not forget that Saturn is in your 7th house all year, which brings a lot of kind of heaviness, responsibility in relationships, maybe a partner going through a more difficult time. Relationships are a place of a lot of focus, but they're also a place of a lot of seriousness, a lot of commitment, a lot of realism, and needing to implement boundaries is important. If you're single, this could also be the time when you're just asking yourself important questions. You're wondering who you need to date. Mercury just conjoined Saturn on the 28th of February. So you could have made some important realizations, had some deep conversations with your partner, needed to commit, needed to, say no to some things in a relationship. Early in the month, between March 1st and 11th, Venus is in your 6th house, and Venus is the planet of love. Her being in the 6th house could suggest that you are dating someone at work, or you are going out with your colleagues more and maybe meeting someone through that. And then between March 11th and April 5th, Venus goes into Pisces, the sign she's exalted in, and she will be in your 7th house of love and romance. Mars will join her on March 22nd, will stay all the way until April 30th. So this is a busier time in love for you, right? Like Mercury sort of introduces things, and the sun does, because the sun is also here at the start of the month. A lot of focus on relationships, even to a point that there's a new moon here on March 10th. And the new moon is at 20 degrees, 16 minutes Pisces, especially important for Virgo risings. If your ascendant degree is between 17 and 23 degrees Virgo, because then the new moon is opposite your ascendant. But a lot of new beginnings, a lot of new possibilities, a lot of possibilities for commitment, for a new relationship, for a change in status, for a new partnership. If we're talking business, this could be business. Venus being here in between March 11th and April 5th is so charming, so kind of harmonious, easy when it comes to relationships. You're getting along with people, you're attracting people. March 21st, Venus is conjoining Saturn, so another possibility for commitment, another possibility for a new partnership. It's like Venus conjunct Saturn could be very sober and serious and sort of even melancholic at times, or you may feel a little bit isolated, but it could also be the time when you are saying no to your single life and you're feeling maybe, or you're having deep realizations about your relationship, right? You're also feeling forgiving and you're feeling generous and kind, because that's what Venus in Pisces is, but you are kind of understanding with that level of patience what needs to be released and what needs to be connected, committed to. March 25th, we have a big deal. There is a lunar eclipse in Libra, your 2nd house of money and values, and it is ruled by Venus in Pisces in your 7th house. So this brings attention to your values, to your finances and resources in connection to relationships, right? There is a change here. There is a completion of a cycle started on October 14th when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. And you're looking at your resources in relation to your business partnership, or you're looking at your values in relation to a romantic relationship. And you are asking yourself what is important to you. And potentially releasing something that used to be important to you. Maybe you always cared about dating someone with a specific style, or you always cared about dating someone with a certain bank account, or you have been attracted to people that are a little bit distant and detached. So there's a lot of like self-understanding and I think personal examination and change and release and transformation that then affects your relationships and encourages better connections. On March 24th, March 28th, we also have Venus in your 7th house, sextiling Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house. And your relationship, your partner can be very encouraging of your career at this time. They can be very supportive. There's also a high chance of starting a business partnership and joining forces with other people who are kind of appreciative of you and your work. And if you'd like to know what's ahead for you, how eclipse season will affect you, do not hesitate to book a reading with me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, where you can also pick up a horoscope subscription to have detailed monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month, written by yours truly. And they include a lot of tips, a lot of specific. I'm very detailed as a true Virgo, and definitely check that out. You will not regret it. Now, if you are a shiny Libra rising, you are ruled by Venus. Your partner is ruled by Mars. February was really big. There was a lot of action in your 5th house of romance, sex, pleasure, children. We had the Sun here early in the month. We had Mercury, Venus, Mars here. All of them conjoined Pluto between the 5th and the 6th of February, and then about 13th into 19th of February. You may have had some passionate moments. You may have experienced some power struggles in relationships, or even, some important realizations about parenthood. You could have asked deep questions about pleasure. Potentially, the 22nd of February, we had Venus and Mars conjunction, and this could have suggested birthing something, connecting with a new person, even experiencing kind of new beginnings and pleasure. And that doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if you're single or if you are in a relationship. You could have discovered your body on a brand new level. So this romantic action continues early in the month. Venus is in Aquarius, your 5th house, until March 11th. Mars is here until March 22nd. And you are very charming still, very good at sort of attracting people. You're a little bit more detached, a little bit more calm when it comes to relationships, but still quite powerful in terms of drawing the right person towards you. March 3rd, March 9th could bring some kind of potential disagreements around parenthood, around romance, around money, as Venus and Mars in your 5th house square Uranus in the 8th house. They can also bring breakthroughs, right? It's not always like negative and challenging. There could be maybe some kind of breakthrough in your partner's resources. They start making more money. They, pay some of your debts. Who wouldn't want that? A partner who just gives you a chunk of money. Maybe there's some kind of vulnerability, some kind of more honesty, more honesty in relationships, more freedom romantically. I would encourage you to be really honest and to be kind of like open-minded. Do not try to control your partner or control your child even, and see what comes. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus enters Pisces, your 6th house. You are Venus, let's remember. And then on the 22nd of March until April 30th, Mars enters Pisces. So you are getting kind of more focused on your health, on your wellness. And later in the month, from the 22nd of March, so does your partner. So you can find yourself, especially between the 22nd and April 5th, you can find yourself exercising together, eating better together. You can even, if you're single, you can be meeting them at a gym, at the doctor's office. Just make sure you know what their health status is if you're meeting them at the doctor's office. Trust them to tell you when the time is right. But yeah, there's a lot of more interest on your part and their part in improving your health. Venus conjoins Saturn on the 21st of March, and you may be getting more serious, getting more clear about what's serving you and what's not serving you. Your love life can be connected to your job at this time too, especially for those single people. You may kind of enjoy going out with your colleagues more. You may start seeing a colleague or your doctor in a brand new light and sort of find them attractive. There is also, from March 9th, there begins to be more action in your house of serious relationships. So after you've explored what pleasure is and what you desire sexually and romantically, Mercury goes into Aries on March 9th for the next 2 months. The Sun enters on March 19th. There is eclipse here blooming ahead of us on April 8th. So a lot of focus goes towards your relationship house. Mercury being here for 2 months could suggest that you are examining how you communicate in relationships. You're maybe communicating more with your partner. Maybe you are texting more, talking more, seeing them more, right? There might be faster turnaround in your relationship life, like more people coming in, more dates, more fun. Mercury will be retrograde though. Remember that between April 1st and April 25th, the eclipse. which could suggest someone from your past returning into your life. Oh, I actually have a Libra rising friend who just had someone from the past return into her life. So it's already happening. But definitely relationships with someone from the past, giving someone from the past another chance. I need to rethink your agreements and relationships. I need to rethink your communication. Some of the old fights might be returning, and there is an invitation there to communicate honestly, but not too bluntly, right? Because Aries could be very much too direct. But an important period, like the next 2 months, basically will be quite significant for your relationships, I think. Especially with the eclipse. And then, of course, on March 25th, we have a lunar eclipse in Libra, your first house in 5 degrees Libra. Especially important if your ascendant is between 2 and 8 degrees Libra. This brings attention to your health, to your image, to your goals and desires. And a lot of it could be connected to what's happening in your relationships, right? If relationships are starting to blossom, if you're meeting new people, if you are getting engaged, getting married, dating someone who's from a different country, you will be asking a lot of personal questions. But these questions can also be connected with a sense of a need for change, something being outdated, something needing to be released out of your life, eclipsed out of your life. Take a look back at October 14th when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. What was October like for you? For me, as a Libra rising, it was quite messy. There was like a lot of uncertainty, and that's what eclipses are sometimes. You know, like sometimes you need space from it in order to understand what it was about. So I think you are very much getting ready to release an old version of yourself, old beliefs, an old way of viewing yourself, right? Like we all carry these ideas of ourselves and we say them a lot. And if you meditate or if you follow any kind of spiritual practice, you know that a lot of your ideas of yourself, they're not permanent. They're not like, the way you are one day is not the way you are all the time. Your thoughts change, your actions change, your brain chemistry changes on some level. So the lunar eclipse in your first house is very much a suggestion that you're going through a big transformation. And the ruler is Venus in the 6th house. So the transformation may include your routines, may include your health, may include your interests. I think on a bigger level, you are changing what is worth fighting for. You're changing what is worth sacrificing for. You're starting to kind of see that part of your life differently and have different ideas of what is worthy of your time. And please let me know how this resonates. How has the South Node in your first house been? It's been a ride for me, to a point of like getting sick a couple of times in 2024, and we're just 2 months in, basically. So let me know, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also pick up a beautiful Moon in Cancer 2 candle, my favorite, highly recommend. And you can purchase a horoscope subscription to get monthly horoscopes emailed to you. They're personalized and they help guide you through the more difficult times and encourage you to maximize the more positive times. Next, we have the passionate Scorpio rising. If you are a Scorpio rising, you are, of course, Mars. Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars. And your partner is Venus. Jupiter is still in your 7th house all the way until May 25th. You're still quite blessed when it comes to connections, relationships, people coming into your life that are very helpful, that are very supportive of your growth and your pursuits. Saturn is in your 5th house all the way until 2026. So there's also a lot of kind of pressure to build something, to birth something, to connect. In February, we had Venus-Mars conjunction in your 4th house, which could have suggested transformations in terms of your living situation, maybe moving in with a partner, maybe rebuilding your home, maybe conceiving a child, and some kind of change in your living dynamic. Early in March, between March 1st and 11th, Venus is still in your 4th house. And then all the way until March 22nd, Mars is also still in your 4th house, which to me is very suggestive of like you and your partner together, maybe working on moving in together, rebuilding your home, redesigning your home, doing DIY projects, spending more time together in the privacy of your home, working on building a home together, right? Or just like building a future together. If you're single, this could be suggestive that there's more action going on in your home, and maybe you're having like house parties and inviting people over. March 3rd and March 9th could be a little bit shaky. We have Venus in your 4th and Mars in your 4th, squaring Uranus in the 7th. So there is potentially some kind of, electric, staticky energy between your house of home, family, and living situation and your desires there. And the freedom, the rebelliousness, the change in the house of relationships and partnerships. So there could be a suggestion that like your partner is maybe undergoing some kind of important change. Like they suddenly tell you, I don't want to move to this new house. I want to stay in the old house. Or the partner gets relocated. Or, there's a bit of tension between like your family and your relationship, and you need to navigate things. There's also, in March, there's also a lot of action in your house of pleasure, sex, romance, children, which for some of you could be like a very inspired creative time. And for others, it could be the time of more dates, more fun sort of pursuits, going out, having a good time, spending more time with children, spending more time making children. There's a new moon here on March 10th. New moon in the 5th house suggests a new start, a fresh romance, a fresh creative project, conception of a child, conception of a relationship, exploration of your sexuality. So there's a lot of kind of positive energy. And all of this Pisces action is making harmonious aspects to Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus, which is very much like new beginnings that are happening in the house of pleasure are harmoniously affecting your long-term potential, even if it's just about you discovering what brings you joy, right? I always have people saying, well, I'm single. I've been single for a really long time. But sometimes relationships really come naturally when you have figured out what makes you happy. So March, with all of this action in your 5th house, could be like, what are your passion projects? What are your pleasurable activities? Where do you feel like a fish in the water? And then you never know, a relationship can be coming eventually from you just doing your own thing. On March 25th, Venus will conjoin Saturn between March 11th until April 5th. Venus enters Pisces, your 5th house. She's in her joy in the 5th house. She's exalted in Pisces, so it's a very powerful, very magnetic, very sensual, spiritual, romantic Venus, great for manifesting creative, romantic relationships. On the 21st of March, I think I said 25th, but it's 21st of March, Venus will conjoin Saturn. So this could be the time when you are looking at your romantic life through a more serious lens, when you are needing to sacrifice something. This could be the time when you're getting more real about becoming a parent and kind of realizing how much you'll need to let go of, how your life will change. So it's like bittersweet energy. On one hand, Venus conjunct Saturn can bring mastery, commitment, new beginnings. On the other hand, it could bring like loneliness, sobriety, seriousness. And then on March 25th, we have a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Libra, your 12th house. Culmination of the chapter started in October when we had a solar eclipse in Libra. Libra is the sign of relationships. Libra is the sign of partnerships. The ruler here is Venus in the 5th house. So I think, to me, this eclipse suggests you asking a big question about what joy is in your life and how you may be sabotaging yourself, right? Like, how are you blocking your own happiness? Is it your negative thoughts? Is it your tendency to put other people first? Is it your fears, right? Is it your own sort of resistance and your tendency to take a step back and pull back and not share your true feelings? So look at this eclipse as an opportunity to shed the old version of you, to release any fears, to release any outdated beliefs, and embrace a more happy, excited, and passionate version of yourself. And if you'd like to know more, do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription. You can pick up a candle there. The possibilities are endless. If you do get a horoscope subscription, head to plans and pricing and get a monthly horoscope sent to you at the start of every month, where I guide you and offer important advice. If you are a beautiful Sagittarius rising, you are Jupiter currently in your 6th house, working a lot, handling a lot of questions related to health, diet, exercising. Your partner is Mercury. So the fact that your partner is Mercury comes from your 7th house being Gemini. It's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in Pisces, your 4th house, until March 9th, which could suggest that your partner is kind of more private, more focused on home and family, maybe handling more matters related to real estate, or they can also be sort of kind of dreamy and more private, more kind of creative behind the closed doors. And then between March 9th and May 15th, Mercury, the ruler of your house of relationships, will be in Aries. And this is quite important because Mercury will go retrograde between April 1st and April 25th. And so Mercury, the ruler of your 7th house, being in the 5th, could suggest that your partner's mind goes more towards your children. Maybe they are pursuing more creative projects. Maybe they're becoming more playful, more interested in going on fun dates and kind of having a good time. The retrograde happening in your 5th house could be suggestive of you needing to rediscover spark in your relationship if you feel like the joy has been gone for a little bit. It could be also, if you're single, it could be suggestive of someone from your past coming into your life, but more on that in April. Just know that some of your creative, some of your romantic life will need to be revisited. In February, we had Venus conjoining Mars in Aquarius in your 3rd house, and you could have experienced fun times in the neighborhood, maybe connecting with neighbors, even dating neighbors, or meeting someone through the siblings. There could have been more inspired communication, maybe more short trips, maybe more fun when it comes to learning, when it comes to taking exams, when it comes to your schedule, just sort of enjoying your everyday life a little bit more. In March, early in the month until March 11th, Venus is still in Aquarius, your 3rd house. And you may be focusing on, kind of still, I think you're more interested in going out in your local environment, exploring local restaurants, local bars, connecting with neighbors, connecting with siblings. And your romantic life can be very much tied to those places, like meeting someone locally, meeting someone at a coffee shop you go to, or going on a date at a local spot, sort of exploring and learning about where you live together with romance. And dating neighbors is also quite likely. Taking more short trips with your partner, I can see studying together, kind of taking up new skills, cooking together, whatever it might be. From March 11th until April 5th, Venus will be in Pisces, your 4th house. She's exalted and very happy to be in Pisces. But this could be suggestive of you kind of shifting more into your home, prioritizing staying in more, having more get-togethers, having more dates, but like in your house, doing things where you cook together, or you bake together, or you garden together, anything sort of nurturing, learning about things, about spiritual things together could be a lot of fun. Venus will conjoin Saturn on March 21st, so you may have to have some serious conversations with your partner or with your family about love, about comfort, security, about old patterns that come from childhood. Talking to your partner about where you see yourself living is also quite likely. Needing to compromise, needing to sacrifice, needing to come to some kind of serious agreements and understanding. At the same time, you know, Mercury being in your 5th house and the Sun being in your 5th house between March 19th and April 19th is bringing a lot of attention to the questions of romance, pleasure, children. Some of you may be talking about being parents. Maybe you're trying to have a baby. There is solar eclipse coming up, a solar eclipse coming up in your 5th house of pleasure, parenthood in April. So definitely new beginnings in terms of parenthood. For those who are single, like I said, maybe someone from your past coming into your life, giving a chance to an old relationship, or, you know, someone that you maybe met before, didn't date, but now you're getting a chance to date them again. And of course, the biggest event of the month is the lunar eclipse in Libra, your 11th house on March 25th. This brings attention to your house of friendships, networks, community, dreams, and social media. And it completes the chapter started in October 2023, specifically October 14th, 2023. So even though it is the house connected to friendships and hopes and dreams, the eclipse is exactly opposite the sun in Aries, right? And you are trying to find balance between your romantic desires and your understanding of personal pleasure and your outside aspirations. And the lunar eclipse here is very much an invitation to release something, to release maybe a connection, a friendship that is holding you back from having a good time. Release even like some kind of vision you had of yourself, some outdated tendency. Rethink. Like, let's say you had a dream about leading a race, or you had a dream about climbing to the top of some organization, and then the ruler is Venus in the 4th house for this eclipse, right? And the sun is in your 5th house. You have been on vacation and you realize that you really want to live where you travel to. So there is very much kind of a need to sacrifice or release or examine an old belief and ask whether it's authentic, whether it's long-lasting and helpful to you, or whether it needs to be let go of. And it could also be, it can also be connected to like just overall idea of relationship and your idealism and your kind of like perfect partner versus the real partner. And needing to get those two aligned and balanced. And if you'd like to know what the eclipse season has in store for you, don't hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Definitely check out my Venus in Libra, Moon in Cancer candles on my website. They can help you have an easier eclipse season. I would also recommend Mercury in Virgo or Mercury in Gemini, because we have Mercury retrograde coming up. So definitely pick something up for yourself and check out my website. You can also get a horoscope subscription if you'd like more guidance. Next, we have a lovely Capricorn rising. As you already know, Jupiter is in your 5th house all the way until May 25th. Jupiter in the 5th is extra fertile, extra romantic, extra creative and supportive of you finding pleasure and you connecting with what makes you feel joyful. Even you connecting with your body, right? On some level, you may be discovering what kind of turns you on, what gets you excited, what gets you going, right? Some important questions over here, even like learning to slow down is important. And you are, as a Capricorn rising, you're ruled by Saturn. Saturn is currently in Pisces, your 3rd house. So you may be, in a long term, you are in this place of like figuring out what community is for you, figuring out, learning a lot, maybe dealing with a busier schedule, asking important questions. And your partner is the moon. And the moon is harder to track because the moon moves really fast. But we're gonna look at eclipses. We're gonna look at what Venus is doing in order to know what might be happening in your relationship life in March. So February brought Venus-Mars conjunction on February 22nd in your 2nd house. And Venus was also in your 2nd house. She still is in your 2nd house until March 11th. But this could have been beneficial for your finances. This could have brought more gifts, more compliments, more confidence and self-worth, and also like overall clarity on what you want. Like I said, Venus stays in Aquarius until March 11th, and you are likely spending more on gifts to other people. You may be receiving more gifts. You may be feeling more confident, exploring investments, maybe spending on your partner, or spending on your child, spending on your even kind of pleasurable activities, right? March 3rd and March 9th, we have Venus in the second house and Mars in the second house, squaring Uranus in the fifth. And you may need to examine how you spend your resources. There may be some changes that you need to make to your agreements, your values, to your finances in response to breakdowns and breakthroughs in relationships, creative projects, and parenthood. So a very literal example, right? Like you find out you're pregnant. Uranus in the fifth house, sudden breakthrough, good news. Or you get a creative project and you need to, if you're pregnant, you need to start saving money for the future child. If you get a creative project, maybe you need to figure out whether you have the resources you need for that project. So some kind of important changes around finances, around agreements, around values that then impact your relationships, or vice versa. Relationship changes impacting your finances. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus will be in Pisces, the sign she's exalted in, and she'll be in your third house. So if you're single, this is a beautiful time to go out exploring your neighborhood, to go to a coffee shop you haven't been to go to a bookstore and get a cup of coffee and read a book there, because Venus represents love and desire and romance. And when she's in the third house, love can happen through your neighborhood. It can happen through a sibling. You can start dating a neighbor. You can start texting with someone and sort of bloom your connection through communication. Someone you maybe see every day and you don't think much of them, but you exchange phone numbers and you start sort of talking and you get really excited. On March 21st, Venus in your third house will conjoin Saturn, which is a suggestion of needing to get serious, needing to make some kind of compromises and sacrifices when it comes to your business, when it comes to your relationship with a sibling or a neighbor. Even a need to have some kind of serious conversation and examine your schedule. So it could be, it could be romantic where you're needing to come to an agreement on something, or it could also be connected to your work potentially. Aries is quite highlighted in March too, which is all about your living situation. There may be big questions of belonging and where you live and where you want to be. And so, of course, that is affecting your relationships as well. If you're moving, or if your partner is moving, if you're selling, buying a home, that could also be a place of focus for you and your relationship. And then the biggest transit of the month is the lunar eclipse in Libra, your 10th house, on March 25th. This brings attention to your career, status, and reputation and calls you to let something go. This is also a completion of a chapter started with the solar eclipse in Libra on October 14th. Take a look back at what was happening professionally. Were you maybe just starting something and now you're getting ready to let that go? What was happening in your family life? What was happening in your professional life? Because in general, Libra always has to do with relationships. So you may be examining your professional relationships, but it can also, 10th house represents your status and your reputation, and status can be married or single. So with the lunar eclipse in the 10th house, I think there is an invitation to examine how much you let the opinion of other people influence you, to examine your goals and your dreams and your wishes, and ask how they are aligned with where you see yourself living, right? Because the next eclipse we're having is happening in your fourth house of home, family, and living situation. So the changes that are happening in relationships, that are happening in your career, are very much impacted by your newfound sense of comfort, security, what makes you happy. So I think romantically or professionally, you're needing to have some honest conversations to figure out, even this could suggest that you're starting to work less because you want to spend more time at home with your partner or with your child. So I think examining some kind of like shallow goals, beliefs, people-pleasing tendencies that are preventing you from having a perfect family life is really likely here. And if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also purchase a horoscope subscription, which suggests monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. It also includes weekly breakdowns and guides. On my website, you can also pick up my newest Moon in Cancer 2 candle. I don't know if you can see it. It's super beautiful. It smells really nice. And it has lovely, soothing energy that is just right for the upcoming eclipse season. Next, we have Aquarius rising. If you are an Aquarius rising, you are Saturn. Your partner is the Sun. And you are Saturn. Saturn is currently in the second house. Traditionally, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. That's why I'm saying you are Saturn. And the fact that your chart ruler is in the second house is suggestive that you are currently in this very serious place of saving money, working hard, figuring out how to build your self-worth, kind of making serious decisions about finances, asking big questions. Your partner is the Sun, because opposite Aquarius is Leo. Your descendant is in Leo. And the Sun is in Pisces as well, between March 1st and March 19th, second house. The Sun and Saturn just came together in your second house on February 28th. They conjoined. So that was Saturn Cazimi. It is suggestive also of you and your partner coming together in some kind of important financial conversation, financial realization, a need to make big decisions, a need to make investments, even sort of aligning in your values and your desires. It could be financial, but it could be also anything else that involves your life together. The Sun goes into Aries, your third house, from March 19th, which could suggest that your partner is like moving to maybe doing more kind of busy work. Maybe their schedule speeds up. Maybe they start writing, taking exams, taking more short trips, while you are still potentially dealing with questions of money. Venus is in your first house. Venus and Mars just conjoined on February 22nd. Venus stays in your first house until March 11th. Venus in the first house is the time of extra charm. You are beautiful, you're eloquent, it's impossible to say no to you. You're great at manifesting things. March 3rd and March 9th could be a bit difficult, as Venus in your first house squares Uranus in the fourth, and Mars does so too on March 9th. And this is the time when there is some kind of shakeups in the home, around family, around living situation, that are testing your patience, that are encouraging you to have honest conversation, to be more adaptable, to be more flexible, but also make sure you're not sacrificing your goals and sort of standing your ground. So there's important, I think, changes to your personality that are inspired from the changes happening in the family. Maybe your sibling moves out and you now have to take your rent fully, or, a parent moves in and your living situation changes, or even some kind of deep realization surrounding childhood, surrounding comfort and security that affects your sense of self. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus will be in Pisces, your second house, and this is more of attention towards money making, towards making kind of positive investments. Maybe you're starting to make more money from sales, from selling your clothes, from creative projects, and just sort of enjoying more compliments, spending more on beauty is likely, receiving more gifts, receiving more compliments. On March 21st, Venus will conjoin Saturn in the second house, which could also be suggestive of some kind of, a need to get serious about your resources. You could get rewarded for your hard work and get recognition for the hard kind of effort you've put into a project, and potentially a need to get more serious, like I said, sort of get more clear and focused on being self-contained, self-reliant, and not depending on other people for approval, and also not depending on other people for your financial decisions in some regard. And then on March 25th, we have the biggest event on March, and that is the lunar eclipse in Libra in your ninth house. And this is a completion of a chapter started with the solar eclipse in Libra in October. And it affects your house of beliefs and philosophies, education, travel, writing, and legal matters. And so the change can be happening in any of those spheres. But I think since we're talking about love, and since ninth house is the place of beliefs and philosophies and sort of your ideals, I think this is the place where a lot of changes are happening. You may be realizing that some of your beliefs are outdated. You may be realizing that it's okay to be more assertive, to speak your mind, to express yourself. Some of your beliefs about relationships might be changing, right? There's, I think, like a lot of inner growth and transformation that is happening that is encouraging you to be more self-contained, self-reliant, and to know that it's okay sometimes to not agree, right? Like, you are still, I think, focusing on having a good balance in relationship, but something needs to transform. And the ruler is Venus in the second house. So the transformation is very much involving, I think, questions of relying on other people, questions of other people relying on you, questions around finances, resources, agreements, and values. And if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also find a horoscope subscription on my website and receive horoscopes written, personalized, and sent to you at the start of every month. On my website, you can also pick up a magical Moon in Cancer 2 candle, Venus in Libra candle, or Mercury candle for the upcoming Mercury retrograde, as these could be great accompaniments for the next couple of months. Now, if you are a lovely Pisces rising, you are Jupiter, currently in your third house until May 25th. You are busy, you're studying, you're learning, you're maybe taking more short trips, your schedule is sort of packed, you're thinking more optimistically, you're more involved in the neighborhood, kind of going, taking more trips, moving around, etc. And your partner is Mercury. And so between February 23rd and March 9th, Mercury is in Pisces, your first house. So if you are in a relationship, it means that your partner is more kind of interested in being in the same space as you are. They're more curious about you. They're maybe more in your face. If you're single, you might be meeting a partner at this time. It might be the time when somebody is coming into your life and approaching you. You don't have to go out of your way because the ruler of the house of relationships is in your first house. Between March 9th and May 15th, Mercury will be in your second house. And Mercury will go retrograde in your second house between April 1st and April 25th. So this is suggesting that your partner is potentially kind of busy hustling. There may be addressing some financial concerns, maybe paying off some debts, dealing with tax matters. And it could also be suggestive that you and your partner together are needing to figure out some kind of financial agreement. If you're single, you can also be meeting someone through your accountant or through your financial dealings. Maybe it's your financial advisor that you're interested in, or it's your accountant, or it's someone you meet while going to your bank or something like that. But definitely, I think like a need to examine finances both on your own and in a relationship. Maybe you're coming to an agreement, maybe you're coming with a budget with a romantic or a business partner. There's some important conversations there. Early in the month, and in February was like quite busy romantically. There was a full moon in your 7th house on the 24th of the month, which could have brought change to your relationship sector. Venus conjoined Mars in your 12th house, which could have been about a private relationship, maybe also deep understandings, having like a passionate night in. Venus is still in Aquarius until March 11th. So she's in your 12th house, and your romantic life could be more private. Doesn't mean it's quiet. It could be quiet if you're single because you're asking a lot of deep questions. You are maybe trying to understand yourself. You're releasing the past. You're more, just in general, more introspective and more driven to be by yourself right now. But if you are in a relationship, it could just be the time when things are more kind of like private and you enjoy spending time in solitude with your partner or alone. On March 3rd and March 9th, we have Venus and Mars in the 12th house squaring Uranus in the 3rd. So watch out for rushing, watch out for getting in accidents, getting in fights. There might also be some kind of like breakthroughs and breakdowns in your neighborhood, in your maybe living environment that affect your romantic life or that affect your peace of mind. So try to be flexible around this time. I can also see some kind of important conversations, eye-opening conversations at this time. Between March 11th and April 5th, Venus will be in your first house. She's exalted, she's strong, she's so charming, making you very charming, great at manifesting. Expect more compliments. It's a great time to change your look. It's a great time to go on a date. It's a great time to present any ideas. There's also a new moon in your first house on March 10th. New beginnings in the way you define yourself, in the way you see yourself. Still some kind of seriousness, right? On the 21st of March, Venus will conjoin Saturn. So you are, I think, before, that's the theme with Saturn in general, before you build a happy and secure relationship, you are encouraged to take care of yourself, to be happy within yourself, to be healthy, to have good routines. And Saturn is all about that. Saturn is really telling you that you gotta get serious, you gotta get organized, you gotta take good care of yourself. And so whatever changed in relationships in February, right? Like, if there was some kind of a break or an ending of a relationship, maybe the new beginnings, new season, Pisces season is encouraging you to make improvements to yourself. Or if there are new beginnings in a relationship, you're making improvements to yourself so that you can step up and feel more comfortable in the new changing environment. And the biggest event of the month occurs on March 25th when we get a lunar eclipse in a lunar eclipse in Libra, your 8th house. This is a change and completion of the chapter started in October when we had a solar eclipse in Libra, and it affects your house of partners' finances, debts, taxes, shared resources, loans, mortgage, any kind of agreements you have with other people. And this is a change, right? So take a look at October. What was happening? Did you take on a debt? Did you move in with a partner? Did you make some kind of financial decision? Did you realize that something in your life is not fair, right? Because the lunar eclipse could highlight this sector of your life again. It could suggest that you're paying off that debt, that you are rethinking your agreement with your partner, that you're bringing more fairness, that you're examining outdated relationship beliefs and kind of being more honest, communicating directly about what you want, getting more clear about how you share in relationship and how you agree, right? Like, and a lot of times in order to build better agreements, you first have to tear down the outdated ones. And this could be connected to love, it could be connected to friendship, or anything else. And if you'd like to know more, do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also pick up a horoscope subscription to receive monthly horoscopes sent to you. They're personalized and take a look at your natal chart, give you advice and guidance. They're sent to you at the start of every month. On my website, you can also pick up any of my magical candles or oils to help you feel more kind of aligned and happy during this intense eclipse season. And this is it. Thank you for listening. This is my second relationship horoscope video. The first one did really well, so I hope you like the second one as much and it gets good views, which will in turn encourage me to make more of these. I hope you have a great month, and I wish you all lots of love from your partners, friends, and family. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.